Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Farzana Nasser. I'm a partner at Chameleon Collective. We are a group of marketing and e-commerce experts, and it's my pleasure to introduce this final session in the AI Breakout track about measuring and the impact of harnessing AI-powered technology and conversational commerce strategy. I'm thrilled to introduce the speakers today, Amanda Cole, the CMO of Bloomreach, Vikas Jha, the VP of Engineering and Conversational Commerce, and Joe Megibow, the CEO of Casper. Please join me in a round of applause to welcome them to the stage.
Conversational commerce. So this is about a lot more than conversational commerce. So you guys are in the AI track, so you've heard a lot about AI today. And what we wanted to do was show you AI in action. We didn't want to just talk about a vision. We wanted you to actually see how it could practically change interactions with your customers. But we can't actually do a live demo, so you're going to be seeing a video. But before we do that, those of you in the front who are lucky, let's test your AI knowledge. Does anybody know when Google beat Go? Google AI beat Go. Does anybody know the year? Close. Okay. What about when Joy Buolamwini discovered that the VR product Facebook was developing could not recognize dark faces? They all of a sudden discovered that the data that was being fed into AI was creating limitations in its ability to interact with humans. Anybody know when that was? Okay. ChatGPT, when did it launch? That should be easy, right? There's zero participation from the front row. What'd you say? 21? Close. Look at how long this has been happening. 2016, 2018, 2020. So this has been around for a really long time. Bloomreach, if I can say the name, has been in the AI game for 15 years. So AI is not new. But how it's actually going to transform customers and retailers and our experiences is what this track and what a lot of us are dealing with. How do we actually leverage AI to do something for our businesses? Google actually launched this survey, and they said that the most common use case, Joe is going to talk about this in a minute, 48% believe that in customer service, there's going to be huge value for Gen AI with retailers. Conversational commerce is the next one, and that's what our topic is about today. And we see that now, what's funny, Joe, his reaction, what was your reaction the first time I showed you this slide? What'd you say? It's about how many people are already using Gen AI.
Yes.
You said bullshit. That's what you said.
I was going to let you say it, but yes. Those of you who know me would not be surprised.
Exactly. So 70% of CMOs said that they're already using Gen AI. I'm a CMO. My board wants me to use Gen AI. Do I use it? Of course I do. So 70% of us said yes. But the reality is this is a really big deal. Joe also gave me this quote, which I included from Douglas Adams. I've come up with a set of rules that describe our reactions to technologies. I think we can identify ourselves in some of these. Anything in the world when you're born is normal. Anything invented between when you're 15 and 35 is new and exciting. And anything after 35 is against the natural order of things. So how do those of us maybe in the later category relate to that? How do we think about what this transformation of AI is going to do for us as retailers? So Joe, this is where we're going to do a Q&A over Vikas, because his turn isn't yet.
Hi over there.
If anybody wanted to attend the most awkward session, you have attended it. So Joe, we're talking about conversation and personalization. We believe that conversation is the most personal form of communication, obviously. Can you start by telling us what personalization really means?
Yeah, it's we've been talking about personalization in the industry for, goodness, close to, I think, 40 years now, since the beginning of the internet, or the beginning of the web as a commerce platform. I mean, it was B2B, one-to-one marketing is where it all began, and we really haven't achieved that at all. We've got product recommendations and a little bit of consumer segmentation and not a whole lot more. At the ideal, it's getting the exact right message for each customer at the right time in the right context. If Amanda walks into her favorite coffee shop that she goes into every morning and gets the same thing, and they say, hey, good morning, how are you? The usual, that's great. If Amanda walks into a coffee shop she's never visited in another city, and she walks in and they're like, oh, hey, Amanda, the usual, that's creepy. So understanding the context, understanding the customer is what it's all about, and it's been very, very difficult to get that right.
And so when you think about personalization in this new reality with new technology and the new things that are available. What is really the opportunity that Gen AI, or really AI at large, is providing?
Again, the context piece, I think, is the interesting one. Is LLMs and absorbing a lot of information, and the ability to start to actually have a better chance of automating the right message to the right customer at the right time. A lot of we have. You're probably wondering, what does a mattress salesman have to do with AI? I like to think of it as AI hallucinates, and we believe in quality REM sleep, so I have some authority on this. No, it's, as we think about like classic retail, and we've got about 67 stores, any good retailer has a really good understanding of who they are and the messaging and the training, so that you can bring a new associate on board and have them be really efficient and really consistent. And it's just, how do you get that same information, that same message? And it's actually a huge amount of learning and content to understand how to do that well. And you think about a contact center and how you learn all of your standard macros or responses or ways to deal with the plethora of situations, and there's always a little nuance. It's been really hard to do that formulaically through just decision tree logic and things like that. So where I get really excited is, as we start thinking about the way we've got all this knowledge out there, we've got all of this history, we've got recorded chats, we've got recordings of training, we've got all these training materials, we've got product content in a variety of places, we've got facts, we've got inbound communications, all this body of knowledge. If you could start to capture that and start to convey that back to consumers with the same degree of consistency that you could in really good training programs of humans, that gets really interesting. And I think we're just on the edge of some really remarkable possibilities there.
And so so when we were talking about this earlier, you really felt like customer service is absolutely the area where it's going to impact the most. Is that why? Because of that context?
Yeah, as I think about, I mean, obviously you can hallucinate all you want on the possibilities here, but the question is, where is it really going to get traction? As we're dealing with our real world business challenges and trying to grow our businesses, where are we going to invest precious resources and time and money to try to actually get some results for those of us mortal companies that don't have infinite R&D budgets? I do think customer service, or CX in general, is the easiest place, especially as you think about LLMs, to really start to see some real traction. The ability to both immediately engage with a consumer in a more humanistic way with answers that, again, are context aware, have understanding of their order history, or a contextual understanding of their queries or searches that bring all this knowledge together, is a really interesting possibility that isn't just regurgitating a record in a database. The key is the orchestration to humans. It's, you've got to make sure, if you're doing this, there is a time that humans matter a lot. I mean, I'm a big believer in human-assisted selling as you talk about getting into the sales side of CX. So it's, how do you get the easy, repeatable stuff out of the way in a very engaging, contextually relevant way, but also make sure you've got very clean orchestration to humans. I don't think the goal is to replace the humans. I think the goal is to enrich the human experience so they can best service the customer on the things that really matter.
Yeah, and one of the things, so Joe is actually a customer of Bloomreach with Casper, and one of the things that Bloomreach talks about a ton is how you actually deliver personalization. As I mentioned, personalization and conversation is the ultimate form of personalization, but also customer experience. But the reality is, this example that Joe just talked through has been really hard for a really long time. So how do you have full context and actually deliver one-to-one personalization? You haven't, because a lot of times customers have personalized, or retailers, brands, we have personalized on individual channels instead of on every channel. And the reason is, the reason why we haven't been able to achieve personalization is because it's not about a single channel. So it's not, if you start having personalized conversations, you're still missing the boat, because your customer is still looking for you to have a hyper-engaged, personalized experience. And it's been really, really hard to do this. And this is even true in the context of AI, because you need all your customer and product data. You've got to piece all that together and actually build the data models to do that. You've got to wire it to all the channels. You've got to build the customer segments. You've got to get your team all working on the same tech stack. Then you've got to deploy it to all your channels. Is anybody seeing this process? Is this what it looks like internally? You've got to build the reports, do the A/B testing, do the orchestration, and ultimately you end up not actually delivering personalization. And when you see this in the conversational element as well, all of this same stuff is required. You've still got to get that data together. You've still got to get your teams working on it. You've still got to connect it to every single channel in order for that customer experience to ultimately be impacted. And so, quick commercial, that is what Bloomreach does. And we personalize interactions with our Lumi AI. But again, I think you've heard a lot of vision. So you've seen a lot of people talking about AI and what AI does. And this is what Bloomreach offers with our Lumi AI. But we do want you to see how we deliver limitless personalization truly in the form of conversations. So I'm going to bring Vikas up to actually show what our conversational AI product does. And this is not because we're trying to pitch you a product. I mean, we are, but not really. We want you to see how AI actually has a potential to change how you interact with your customers.
Thanks, Amanda. So a couple of slides for context before I show the promised video of the demo. If you can go to the next slide. So using conversations for sales is nothing new. Salespeople have been doing this for hundreds, if not thousands of years. In fact, retailers, even in the digital world, retailers have used live chat, human agent-powered live chat, to boost conversions anywhere from 30 to 50%. So it works. What's new now is that you can have these one-on-one personalized conversations at scale with LLMs at a fraction of the cost. And that's why this is so exciting. The use cases, as Joe mentioned, customer support is a big one. And at Bloomreach, we tend to focus more on the sales part of this. That's a huge driver for retailers if you can use these conversation-assisted selling at scale. If you can go to the next slide. Intuitively, this makes sense. LLMs are great at having conversations. Why not use them as virtual sales agents? But before you can actually do it in practice, there are several hard technical and business problems that need to be solved. And that's what we do as part of our Clarity product, which is our conversational commerce product. I'll highlight a couple of these hard problems. The first one is that of content. So if you think about the big foundational large language models, with billions and trillions of parameters, they combine intelligence with knowledge. So they have sort of packed the knowledge of the world into the foundational model. So it's a package, much like human beings, they come as a package of intelligence and knowledge. What retailers want you to do is to suppress the knowledge that's built into these models, keep the intelligence, but replace the knowledge with retailers' own content and knowledge, like product catalog, technical manuals, product reviews, so that the sales agent is answering users' questions using that content and the intelligence. And this is a technically hard problem, to keep the intelligence of these foundational models but replace the content. So that's problem number one. The flip side of it is that retailers often don't have a lot of this content that's needed by these sales agents. So how do you use AI to help them develop and enhance that content? So that's sort of the content piece. The second problem I want to highlight, which we solve as part of Clarity, is perhaps equally important, maybe even more important, which is to figure out where in the user journey does the sales agent pop up. Because frankly, not every visitor to your website is the right candidate to offer sales assistance to. It'd be very annoying if every customer who visits the site, there's a conversational agent popping up saying, hey, do you need help? And also not very cost effective. So figuring out sort of the right targeting criteria that dictate when and how the conversational agent shows up to help the user, at what time, in what shape, that's very important. So that's the other problem we try to solve. And I'll show you an example of this with the video next. But what we've done is to package all of these in use cases. So the targeting criteria, the UX, and all of that. So the first use case, or the only use case I'll show you today, we don't have much time, is what we call the abandoned cart use case. And we have similar such use cases for these digital sales agent, LLM-powered sales agents. And we're developing many more of these use cases. And that's how Clarity will be, effectively will show up to the end user. So if you can play the video, I'll show you the first use case we have developed, which is the abandoned cart use case. So imagine if I'm in the market to buy area rugs, and I go to this website, a retailer, Pacific Home. I look around at a bunch of rugs, and I add a couple of them to my cart. And being the indecisive person that I am, I forget about the cart. I'm your classic abandoned cart shopper. And at this point, maybe I get an SMS, abandoned cart SMS, or an abandoned cart email, hopefully from Bloomreach engagement.
The exit intent pop-up.
Yeah, that's another way, yeah. And then, or I come to this website on my own, and now let's say I fit the criteria that's been programmed into Clarity for this conversational agent to show up to offer assistance. And it shows up the products I had left in my cart, and it offers to answer any questions I might have about those products. And it catches me at the right time, and I do have some questions, and I start asking the Clarity sales agent. In this case, it seems like I have a small living room with pink walls. I do have pink walls. And I'm asking which of these designs will go well. And one thing to notice here is AI is not just useful to answer factual questions. AI is even better at offering subjective opinions. And sometimes that's what a user is looking for. Hey, what do you think will look good in my room? That's not a factual question. It's a subjective judgment. AI is very good at that. So in this case, it says, I think the jute option, the jute rug is better for various reasons. It gives you some compelling reasons. And it's an opinion, but it's an informed opinion. Maybe I have another question about, this is a rug and my kids, little kids are going to be running around and they have sensitive skin. So I'm seeking opinion. Hey, which of these will be better for my kids? And again, what the user is trying to do here is to go beyond the product description page. They've already read the product description, PDP. They're trying to go beyond that and asking questions and opinions from this AI agent. It looks like the jute option is a winner even on this criteria. And maybe now what's weighing in my head is, hey, my kids will be running around on this, and this will need to be cleaned very often. So how do I clean these rugs? So again, I'm asking those questions. So notice how I am trying to get some more confidence into my buying, my choices. And that's what the AI agent, that's what a human agent would do too. So in this case, that's what the AI agent is doing. And at this point, I've asked a few questions, and maybe I'm convinced to make a purchase and add this to cart and get on and buy. Or maybe I want to look more. Maybe there's some more options. So this is where the user switches from what we call a product expertise use case. So far, the user was asking questions about products that were already in their consideration set. Maybe these products, they had looked at the website, maybe added them to the cart, and they were asking questions. And now they're switching to what we call the seeker use case. So now they're trying to say, OK, I'm looking for new products. I've looked at the ones before. I asked you some questions. I wasn't convinced. I need to explore more. So this is what we call the seeker use case. So it's very akin to searching. But conversational searching tends to be very different. The entire query doesn't come in one message. They might say, I'm looking for a Persian rug. And you show some options, and then say, I'm looking for something in blue, or I'm looking for under $100 or under $1,000. So it develops over time. And then the agent is surfacing the results, sometimes within the chat window, sometimes outside in the rest of the website. So a lot of it, this is about UX. A lot of this is about AI. And a lot of it is about content. As I mentioned, content is a big piece of it. If your agent needs to be effective, it needs to have access to content, not just your catalog, your blog articles, your buying guides, your technical specifications, manuals, all of that. And if you don't have it, then Clarity helps you develop a lot of that content. So that's the video I had.
Thanks, guys. The industry and AI expertise up here, we could be up here for an hour, I think, but the clock is starting to blink at us. So thank you guys so much for attending our session. If you'd like to learn more about Bloomreach, we are the LinkedIn headshot activation. You could also just go get your headshot. And we're at booth 103 at the bottom of the escalators, and very much looking forward to the rest of the conference with y'all. Hope it was worth your time. Have a good one.